Okay.
All right. I just want to first of all let everybody know. In the background, you might hear some growling. And that's my two puppies wrestling with each other, and they literally just decided to wake up as we got on this call. They've been asleep for like 2 hours. Little bastards.
How old are they?
A little over a year. They're still really young. But they're both so jacked right now. They're both so diesel, and you can see it all because they don't have any hair. And Tommy's like, man, these dogs are so diesel. I'm like, all they do is for like 3 or 4 hours a day, they sprint and wrestle, then they sleep, and they eat raw meat and vegetables. I'm like, they essentially live like professional athletes. Like, they sprint and grapple, then they sleep, then they sprint and grapple, then they sleep, and in between there, they eat awesome food. I'm like,
Yep.
These dudes are living the life. And then at night they get cuddles. So it's pretty awesome. Hey, did you see that South Park thing? I sent you that South Park thing, right? That little.
Yep. Many South Park things.
Yeah, the one recently that was like Cartman talking about everybody. I have anxiety, right?
Yes.
So I was like, whatever. It's a funny thing, right? It's just funny. And I think I noticed the next day, like my followers on Instagram dropped by like 100.
Did you put it in your stories?
Like, yeah. because here's the thing, like it was like him, right? So just to recap real, it was like he's sitting in a lounge and he's looking at his phone, and someone's like, "Hey kid, can you turn off your phone?" And he's like, "I have anxiety. That's why I'm looking at my phone." And then he's walking down the street and he's about to like get hit by a car.
Yeah.
Right. And so people are like, "Hey, you got to pay attention to what's going on in the environment." And then he made the whole world stop to pay attention to him. And apparently some people got upset about it. I don't know if they got upset or maybe just my feed sucked. But I just thought it was funny because.
Did anybody comment?
Nah.
I usually get comments back
about stuff like that.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
I can get some pretty not volatile, but very upset sometimes with stuff like that. People are very, very sensitive, and I understand why. I do. I don't agree, but I look, man, my whole goal, I think last year was really to understand people, like to God honestly understand why they make the decisions they do, whether politically, whether personally, business, like it doesn't even matter. Like, not to judge someone based on a decision they're going to make, but to really work to understand that. And that really changed how I think I respond to things now. Like, it really remapped my brain and my output. Yeah. In that I'm so less judgmental about things. And it's like, hey man, like, I get why you're anxious and I get why you're tied to this. Like, this is your story. You're dragging it with you. And I've done the same thing. Yeah. Like, I get it. And it sucks. I'm so sorry. That sucks. You don't need to do that, but that sucks. And I realize it's a lot harder than saying you don't need to do that. Like, there's a very big uncoupling process that has to happen for that to really come to fruition. But I get it, man. I get it. I find it funny.
I feel like, yeah, I do too. And to me, it doesn't diminish somebody who has a real problem with like I saw that and I'm like, I thought about it and I was like, man, that maybe that, like, especially if somebody doesn't know me, that could be very off-putting. Like, and them not knowing, like, and this is well known, like, that I live with somebody who has an anxiety problem and that I'm very sensitive to how people live with and deal with anxiety, but it's still funny. And
Yes.
and having like understanding like, yes, I have this issue, it doesn't mean like the earth stops spinning, right? Like danger is still happening. There's other people and they have their situations. We all have
You could still die.
right? Yeah. And it's like things aren't like the clock's not stopping because you have this, we have what any problem. And so I think coddling is the opposite of the answer. I also don't think you need to be disregard and be mean to people. But at the same time, like if you lose your sense of humor, you're halfway to losing the battle. Like you gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, gotta be able to laugh at yourself.
Well, that's the thing though, is when you put something out like that, or you know, you say something like the way that you did, like, or that, you know, that this cartoon did, right? If what that didn't say is that I don't empathize for you, right?
Yeah.
Just because we're, you know, it's funny doesn't mean that, like, hey man, that sucked. Like I get it, that sucks still, but you've got to literally hold on. You've got to literally be able to do that. Most people can't. Hi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, see, Izzy,
Bye.
leave her alone. This is like why it's like, hey, like, so currently politically, right? Like how, I guess, like, I don't even know what's going on because I don't watch TV, right? I don't, like, bro, I don't even have social media on my phone anymore. It's all on my dummy iPad, which doesn't have my messages, which doesn't have anything on it. So like, I'm clean, right? Like I have to log in to do it. And you can, anyway. So I don't know everything that's going on. I didn't even know people broke into the, like, Capitol.
Oh, you didn't know about that?
No, people sent me shit. And I was like, wait, what? So I heard that like Trump and a few other people got indefinitely banned from like Twitter, right? And Facebook. So those are businesses. They can do what they choose to do. But if they're going to operate the way that free speech operates, what they did was injustice. Like, regardless of what's going on, right? Like, regardless of what you think or care about Donald Trump, like, that doesn't mean I love the man. That, like, I would say the same thing for Joe Biden if he got banned.
Here's the thing.
Even though I don't you know, like, or somebody who I highly disagree with.
They're completely opposite because
exactly
talking about how they banned them.
Exactly. And this is what is wrong with people.
He conceded, right? So
yes.
Last week he conceded. I got beat. He didn't like it. He's going begrudgingly, but he conceded. I lost. Everybody chill. You know, I lost. He's like, this isn't, you know, hey, I didn't
even know that happened.
Right? Yeah, he was like, hey, like, we're gonna try to do it. We're gonna have a smooth transition of power. I lost. I think it was a wake-up call, like, hey, this is causing too much consternation amongst people. And he was like, I lost. And that, you know, this should have been it. Like,
yeah, like,
all right, later we're gonna focus on repairing. But by keeping people, and it was kind of interesting, and I don't even remember if I talked to you about this before, but I did a little experiment where I was like, I'm gonna, in one social media channel, I'm going to watch more conservative stuff. And then on YouTube, no, it was YouTube, I watched more conservative videos. On Instagram, I watched more sort of liberal facing. And I was like, let me see how self-reinforcing this feed becomes. And if somebody tried to categorize me based on my YouTube feed while I was doing that experiment, I would look like a right-wing nut. Like, I'm only watching, and it would just like it self-perpetuates and gets more extreme. And then the same thing on Instagram. I would just get and it becomes an echo chamber because the algorithm is built so that you see more of, quote unquote, what you're interested in. Right? And I think we're in these echo chambers.
This is why I am so not on this stuff, because it's so very hard to stay out of that whole loop.
Well, and
It isn't
also
it?
we're physically separated at the same time. So
Yeah.
you're not, a lot of people aren't going to their workplace where somebody who they share lunch with in the work cafeteria every day who might not totally agree with them, they'll come around to realize like, well, even though we disagree about this issue, fundamentally we're the same. Like that person goes to work, they're trying to take care of their kids, they're trying to figure this out too, and let's let this issue lie. But since we're isolated and we're in a self-perpetuating cycle of, you know, this sort of washing machine of social media and YouTube, whatever, that tells us what we want to think, tells us what we want to hear, it gets easier to get stuck, right? And
Well, the well, yeah, it it's so funny because I've overheard some people who are way more liberal than I am, because I'm actually fairly liberal,
me too.
but they were appalled about people breaking into the White House and the damage and all this stuff going on. Yet they weren't appalled with rioting. Shit that was going on. It's like
They're both a failure to
wait,
communicate effectively.
they are both failures, right? Like I got a message from somebody, I'm not going to say who. I got a message from somebody today who is way too wound into all this stuff and continues to come at me and ask questions because he thinks I'm enlightened about it all. And I'm like, I am not. I am totally disconnected. So like, don't ask me about, he goes, I keep getting info like this. And I know it sounds crazy, but just shooting it out to you because I know you'll be coming down when shit could hit the fan. Trump just declassified all the Washington scandals. He is hiding in a military base. The attack on the Capitol was Antifa and BLM mostly. This is not in any of the news or social media. Right? Like it's this huge text message with clickbait links on all this stuff. And he's like, dude, like, should we be worried? And I'm like, no. Why are you? Why? And he goes, how do you know? And I'm like, because I actually have friends who work inside government agencies that would probably inform me what's going on if there was really a problem.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, look, man. I don't know if anybody realized this, but we're on a big fucking rock spinning through space at like at like 15,000 miles an hour around a giant exploding star. Like there's no guarantees of any of it. Like if and here's the thing, and I'm not saying that to be like nihilistic and diminishing, but I actually like I kind of like the way Mickey talks about this stuff,
oh yeah,
right? Which is
yeah.
like, hey, if
He was in politics.
yeah, I was like, hey, if we don't like it, what are you doing? Are you involved? Do you have discussions with people? Do you vote? Do you understand the laws where you live? Do you talk to your politicians? Do you do anything to try to hold these people accountable? Do you prop up the people who you like? Like, what's your individual role in ensuring that things go in a way that you want? And it's like, well, I don't do anything. I just put my outrage out into the world in whatever digital format. It's like, well, that's utterly meaningless then. Like, you know,
Yeah, man.
And it
There's
comes down to
some
responsibility a lot.
It 100%. You know, so there's this doc I follow from Australia who's a gastroenterologist, and he's just huge in the carnivore diet. And I carnivore diet, keto, vegan, I don't care, but he does thorough work, and it makes a ton of sense with what he's doing, and he's getting results, whatever. He put something out with a few diseases the other day, and how it's just like this trajectory way up since like, the 70s. Just like, I mean, it's we're all aware that disease is out of control, right? And if I think I'm working on a post for this, but it's like I want to put a bunch of different things like soda, water, like meat, vegetables, hamburgers, fast food, just like all this stuff. We have choices, and just leave that as one page, like one pick, and just say first pick choices.
Yeah.
Second pick disease. Like movement was on there, exercise, like being active, having relationships, engaging in conversations, community. Like these are all choices. And on the next page is a byproduct of those choices. And it is without a doubt that disease at this point is intricately connected to metabolic disorder, which can be derived from lack of movement, nutrition, and emotional dysregulation, if you want to call it, right? Like
Yeah.
completely, and the kingpin in this, and what a lot of people in research are finding, is the emotional the emotional instability, the inability to be able to regulate and be able to figure out, or the ability to really say no to certain things. And a lot of people are going to find it hard to actually wrap their head around that, because it'll be like, oh, I can say no to everything. It's like, no, you can't. We all have a problem with certain people, with certain things that, I mean, we're all going through a tough time. And that's the thing, is we're all fighting some sort of war, right? And it's like, are you checking off the boxes of the choices that you have and following suit to where disease doesn't follow that, right? Like we are in a massive crisis, and it's only getting worse. And this pandemic is only evident of that. You know, I mean, call it odd that people are literally hiding from taking care of themselves in a healthy manner, hopeful that a vaccine is going to save them from having to actually get healthy, to get back to that place, right?
Yeah. Instead of like exercise, get some vitamin D, you know, get vitamins
Yeah.
and minerals, exercise.
And what that didn't say was that I'm anti-vax. Like,
Right.
just being very clear, I'm not anti-vaccination. But what I am saying is there are far more important things to do, since I'm somebody who's actually had this thing. And I am pretty convinced, with everybody I know who has had it, those who have taken care of themselves and paid attention when they actually got it, and didn't go and just like, you know, continue to work out, be active, do crazy stuff, et cetera, that they had ended up being, you know, they ended up handling this pretty well.
Well, I mean, I'm not anti Band-Aid, but sometimes I still fall. You know what I mean? Like, you got to risk falling.
Dude,
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get out there.
you could get hit by a fucking car tomorrow. You could, you know, like there are so many like, it's just like this arm's distance away from death means I'm not going to die today. And it's like, you know, or this week. And it's like, no, you don't know that. You don't know that. So what do you want to do? You want to hide? What do you want to do? Take care of yourself. You know, people aren't doing that. That's what I'm seeing.
You can even see it in the way, like the motivation behind when people choose to exercise, and how and why they choose to exercise, that it's a death avoidance instead of like life-giving, like where the primary motivation is, even if they might not define it that way themselves. Like, why do you want to do this? Is like avoidance of chronic disease. It's like they're moving away from something negative instead of towards something positive. Like, you know, I want to be able to like enjoy my physical reality on a lot of in a lot of different planes. Like yesterday, we went on this really nice hike, family, and it was cool because there wasn't any time. Hey, there wasn't any time as we were like climbing around and doing stuff and kind of moving through the forest where I was concerned, like, hey, can I run up this? Hey, like there was a lot of mud and like water and stuff. Can I jump across the stream? Can I do this? Can I do that? It wasn't like, I want to avoid death, so I'm glad I've exercised. It was like, oh man, I can engage with this environment in a fun way and move and not really worry about it too much. Like, not, can I do it? Am I at risk for getting hurt? I'm just, hey, I've essentially put enough money in this bank that I can withdraw here and have fun. You know, it's just like, does it improve the quality of your life because I have no control over quantity of life, or I have very little control over quantity of life. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's not an easy time to say that. I can say that even for me personally. I've really realized that community is a very big thing, and the ability to travel and go see people that I want to go see and do the things I want to do. Like, that's had way more of an impact than I thought it was going to have. I thought it was pretty cool at first that I didn't have to go anywhere, and I was hunkered down and like doing my thing, the thing that I was always doing, you know. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, I want to go out and travel and go see people. And
well, especially for you, your network is across the country, right? Like,
yeah, well,
you have friendships with people all
I am starting to figure that out. Like, I did get a new ride, and I'm gonna be which I love driving this thing. Like, it's just like I just put it at like 70, 75 miles an hour, bro, and it's just like cruising.
How they do up in the mountains?
Bro.
You okay in the mountains?
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And I'm thinking of going to like Montana this, next month, or Montana and like Wyoming. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'll send it to you. I found this. There's this camper shell company that's so dope, and it's like, they're not like a traditional camper shell at all. Everything's like, looks like straight, like a mill add-on, and it's all gunmetal gray, and it's like a hard metal, almost like a geodesic dome that goes onto the back of
I
it.
know what you're talking about. I've seen a few trucks with that stuff.
Just makes me want to, like, I can't wait now. Just, I thought for the longest time that, like, when my old ass pickup truck dies, I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna look at like a SUV or Bronco or something, and I'm like, maybe I'll get a pretty awesome pickup truck and just have a cap for it, and then just go drive and go camping.
Bro, that's what Marcus Brown and Jenny LeBlanc do. That's what he has a badass truck that like has that whole camper thing on. They just go everywhere.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I'm under pressure to be in New Mexico daily. I'm ready. So we're making steps.
Okay.
We're making steps, and then we'll be more centralized.
Just make sure you have a spare fucking room. You two. It's like orange and orange.
It is.
It really is.
No, I think, what we're looking at is to get I think we're going to look at getting a piece of land and then putting an A-frame or something on it, because it's so, they're so inexpensive to build. Like, an A-frame is pretty awesome, right? Just putting up an A-frame, kind of having a little compound, and just off we go. And then having some secondary structures that we can use as like Airbnb sites. I told Tommy, I was like, when we get up there, I'd really like to build a barn that's a human performance facility. Like, it's a barn on the outside, and when you go on the inside, it's a human performance facility. But it doesn't need to be like super high tech. Just, actually, I'd prefer if it wasn't. And then we can have people up and have athletes come up and kind of put them through because it's out, Santa Fe is at, I want to say it's at 8.5 or 9,000 feet, something like that.
Santa Fe?
Yeah, Santa Fe is high. A lot of Kenyans go to Santa Fe to train. You're looking it up?
Oh. Yeah. I don't know that it's that high.
Oh, 72. My bad.
That's still high, dude.
Still high. 72. And then right outside of it, you go up the mountains. Like, there's trails. We did a trail there on the Dale Ball Network while we were out there. It's 1,000 feet of elevation gain in the trail.
Mhm.
So, you can train, Santa Fe proper is at 72, but you can drive into the sticks a little 20 minutes and gain 1,000, 2,000 feet. So, anywho,
Anyhow,
that's 30.
there's 30.